work. He wanted to find a job. Now, in that little village, there was an old man. An old man. The old man had a long beard like this. And Peter said hello to the old man. "Hello, father," he said. "Hello, son. What are you doing here?" "I am trying to find work." "Can I find work in this village?" he asked. "Well, I'm afraid you can't. There is no work in this village. Everybody is unemployed. Maybe there is a volunteer or two, but no work." "Oh. But you know what? Go to the woods," the old man said. "Go to the woods, and in the woods there is a cabin. A cabin. A cabin is a house made of wood. Wood. A wooden house." So the old man said to him, "There is a cabin, so there is no work in this village. No, forget it, young man. Forget this village. Go to the woods and find a cabin in the woods. In that cabin, you will find two guys, two men. They live there and they work in the woods. And ask them, maybe you can work with them. Have you got an axe?" Yes, I have," Peter said. "I have an axe." "Okay." So the old man said, Go to the woods and find the cabin and talk to the two people who live in the cabin. Okay? Okay. Thank you, father," he said. "Goodbye, I am going." "Goodbye, take care." And Peter went to the woods and he found the cabin. And the two guys who lived in the cabin were at home. They were at home because it was raining. It was raining and they couldn't work. And one of them was John, the other was Nick. And he said hello to them. "Hello," and he introduced himself. He said, "I am Peter." And they shook hands. "I'm John. I'm Nick." And Peter said, I am trying to find work. I was in the village and I spoke to an old man with a long beard, and he said there is no work in the village. He told me to come here and talk to you. He told me to ask you. So, do you have any work for me?" And John said, yes, there is a lot of work in the woods. Have you got an axe?" Where is the axe? "Have you got an axe?" Where is the axe? Where's the axe? Come, must be here. Yeah. "Have you got an axe?" Yeah, I have an axe. Here it is. Good. "And can you work with the axe?" Peter said, "Yes, I can." "Okay, so you can work with us. There is a lot of work in the woods, no problem." "All right." The rain stopped. Tomorrow it's going to be a nice day. So tomorrow we can start work, John said. But you know what? Tomorrow I will stay at home, John said. I will stay at home and I will make lunch. And you two, and he pointed at Peter. He pointed at Peter. You two, Peter and Nick, you go to the woods with your axes and you work in the woods tomorrow. I don't. I stay at home. I stay at home. I will make lunch. Okay? All right. So the next day, Peter and Nick took their axes and they went to the woods. They went to work in the woods. John stayed at home to make lunch. So he made lunch for the three of them. He made lunch for everybody. It was a nice day, the sun was shining, there was no rain, and lunch was ready. There was a table outside the cabin. It was a nice day. So John put the lunch on the table and he waited for his two friends to come back home and eat. But they didn't come because they were working. But as John was waiting, suddenly a giant came out of the woods. A giant. A big guy. He was a big guy. He came out of the woods. And he had a piece of rope. He had a piece of rope and he grabbed John. He grabbed John and he tied him up and he tied John to a tree. He didn't hang him, no. He just tied him to a tree. So John looked, and he, the giant, walked to the table outside the cabin and he grabbed the food, he grabbed the lunch and he ate everything. John, who was tied up, saw it. He didn't say bon appetit. No, he was very angry. He was very angry, but he couldn't do anything because he was tied up. So the giant finished the lunch. He ate everything. So there was only the empty table. Then the giant left. He went back into the woods. And then in the evening, when the sun went down, Peter and Nick came home from work. They were tired and they were hungry. And they said, "Oh, where is lunch?" And John said, There is no lunch. I am sorry." "Hey, what are you doing there?" "A giant came when I made lunch. I put the lunch on the table and I waited for you to come, but you didn't come. A giant came out of the woods. He tied me up to this tree. Please let me go." He tied me to the tree and he ate everything. "Come on," Nick said. "What? We worked in the woods all day. We are tired, we are hungry, and there is no lunch, there is nothing to eat." "I'm sorry, there is nothing to eat. The giant ate everything." "Okay," Nick said. "Tomorrow, you go to work in the woods with Peter, and I will stay at home. I will make lunch, and we will see what happens." And so they did. The next day, Peter and John went to work in the woods. They took their axes and they went to work in the woods. Nick stayed at home. He made lunch. It was a beautiful day, no rain, sunshine. So outside of the cabin, he put the lunch on the table and he waited for his friends to come home and eat. But again, the giant came out of the woods and but Nick had his axe. So Nick grabbed his axe, but the giant grabbed the axe, he grabbed Nick and he tied him up with the rope. He tied Nick to the tree and the giant walked to the table and he started to eat. And he ate everything in 5 nanoseconds. Boing! And the table was empty. Nick saw it, but he didn't say bon appetit. He was very angry. He was mad, but he was tied up to the tree. So he couldn't do anything. The giant finished lunch in 5 nanoseconds and he left. He went back to the woods and he didn't say a word. He didn't even say thank you. No, he didn't say thank you. He didn't say goodbye. He said nothing. He just finished lunch and went away, walked away. And Peter and John, they came home in the evening and they were tired and they were super hungry. And there was no lunch. Come on, where is lunch? There is no lunch. The giant ate it. Okay, Peter said, tomorrow I'll stay at home and you two, John and Nick, you will go to work in the woods. And I will take care of the giant. I will show him. So they did. The next day, his 2 friends went to work in the woods. His 2 friends, John and Nick. They grabbed their axes and they went away. Peter stayed at home. It was a beautiful day. No rain, sunshine. It was like summer holiday. So he made lunch and when the lunch was ready, he put it on the table outside the cabin and he waited for the giant to come. And the giant came. The giant came out of the woods and he wanted to eat the lunch. But first he had his rope and he wanted to tie up Peter. But Peter was stronger, so he grabbed the giant and he tied up the giant and he tied the giant to a tree, a big old tree. Peter tied the giant to the tree. Peter tied him to the tree. So the giant couldn't eat their lunch. And Peter waited for his friends to come. And his friends came in the evening. They came home and they said, we are tired, we are hungry, where is lunch? And Peter said, lunch is there, lunch is on the table, and the giant is there at the tree. But the giant wasn't there, and the tree wasn't there, because while Peter was waiting for his friends to come home, the giant pulled up the tree and he walked away. He went back to the woods and he took the tree. So the giant wasn't there, but it was no problem because the lunch was there on the table. So they had lunch. The 3 guys had lunch. They were super hungry because they hadn't had lunch the day before, And the day before that, for 2 days, there was no lunch. But now